this event. We have a great feature, Juan-Carlos Piñeiro, and he goes way back in the New York community for slam poetry in particular. He's got a great TED talk you should check out. We're going to hear from him in a bit. I just wanted to say that, you know, most of you here know about Nuyorican, right? It's long history, and the fact that we had to close in March, right? So right now, Nuyorican is just running on your generosity. So if you have anything to donate, please go to the website, www.nuyorican, hold on, let me get that, www.nuyorican.org/contribute. And whatever you can contribute would be so grateful for that. So Nick?
Yeah, it's really good to see everyone. So we're here in the virtual walls of the Nuyorican. And the Nuyorican, which, you know, the brick and mortar, the tables and the chairs, the actual physical space of the Nuyorican was, you know, has been for 30 years, kind of like a witch's cauldron of poetry. It's been like a wizard's spell casting place for poetry. And, you know, people have come in with a lot of kind of unwritten poems inside their hearts. And then what the Nuyorican did was allowed for them to blast it out of their mouths and to write it down on paper. So the Nuyorican is kind of a good transformative place for people who are almost poets to kind of go through the fire of, you know, doing spoken word live, learning, reading about poetry, and then coming out of its doors just confident in their poetry. So even though the physical building has shut down, what we're just doing is kind of transforming the spirit of the building into a virtual Nuyorican. And so that's where you're at right now. You're still in the Nuyorican. You're still having this, you know, where the poets get their wings, but now it's virtual. And in some ways, you know, that frees us up because now we can travel almost instantaneously throughout the whole world. And so like the spirit will go even farther and faster. And so I want to say thank you. This is tomorrow's Thanksgiving, you know, also honoring the indigenous spirits who were here on the land before, and also to be thankful for us to be able to connect during a time of pandemic when everyone's separated or many people are separated from each other. So this is the first kind of round of connection for the holidays. And also, if you want to make fun of Christmas music, you totally can. I think they started way too early with Christmas music. Like, I just think like as like a holiday decorum, it's like, you know, you don't cut in line at the supermarket or for a bus or a train. I don't think Christmas should like cut in line of Thanksgiving. I feel like Thanksgiving should like elbow Christmas back a little bit and say, hey, we haven't even gotten through the turkey yet. Why are you jingling and jangling? Like, you need to chill. So if you hear anyone doing Christmas music before Thanksgiving is over, tell them to shut up and wait their turn. All right, so that's it. I just want to say thanks everyone for coming. And should we begin now with our man, Juan-Carlos? Are you ready?
I'm contemplating the wisdom you just hit us with. If you hear Christmas music, tell them to shut up. I mean, so true, so poignant, so real. I appreciate you so much.
I know, right?
I think you said what has been needing to be said internationally.
Yeah. It's creeping. It's creeping into our ears. Like I was on the radio, I could hear it on the radio. People are like playing happy like Saint you know, Santa Claus music, and I was just like,
Yeah.
No.
Listen, can I say something? It's like coming like too fast in a way, because like it's because like Halloween is pretty much over. Like Halloween is over, and then already comes the Christmas music.
Yeah, it's
Andre, the irony of that is that you have a Christmas tree with a lit Christmas tree in the back of you.
I know. I didn't really think of finding a Thanksgiving background.
Well, it looks fantastic.
Thank you.
It looks really classy, Andre. I'm going to give you the pretentious poet's lap for that nice Christmas tree in the background.
Woo!
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so
you can't really see, but I'm giving a bow.
You're giving a bow.
You know, like
I know.
Juan-Carlos, we handed the mic over to you.
So thank you to each one of you. Thank you to our teachers, our guides, our ancestors, right? Those that walked this land before us, the earth. the great whoever, God, Yahweh, Allah, beloved, almighty, science, the nameless, we give thanks. I'm very grateful to be here with each one of you today for multiple reasons, not just because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, right? But because we're here. Before I move forward, I think it's worth it. I'm also a mindfulness coach, yoga teacher, and I think it's worth just taking a breath for a couple of reasons. When we take a breath, we take a moment of silence and we listen to one of the few sounds that matter, which is the sound of breath, being alive, the rhythm, the om, the vibration, the truth. And so if we could just take a pause to breathe, but also to be true to what was just said a few moments ago and honor those that came before us that allow us to be here now. The indigenous peoples of these lands, specifically if you're in the New York area, where I'm at, the Wappinger, the Lenape, and over in Manhattan. But also as a pause to remember. So when we pause, when we take moments of silence, it's not necessarily just be quiet and then we'll start. But it's an opportunity to remember those we have lost, those that have transcended, those that are here, and the fact that we are here. And if there's anything that this time has taught us, is that being here is a gift. So let's just lengthen through the spine, take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel that and let it out with a... Do that twice more, take another deep breath in. Feel the belly, the ribs, the chest expand. And then let out with a... This time, take another deep, full breath in, hold at the top of the inhale, hold, feel the breath, feel the inhale. You're here, you're alive, and then let it out with a... The Nuyorican holds a very special place in my heart. The Nuyorican was a stomping ground of mine in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. My group released our second album there. I went there on numerous occasions to, as was said earlier, to polish, to speak. And I participated in poetry slams, but as my experiences evolved, as I connected with elders, I found that for me, I just needed somewhere to speak. And the Nuyorican always gave me that. And I think, well, I know 2020 has been some of the wildest 8 years of my life, right? And I don't know if it's been the same for you, but it's very powerful for me to be here. I mean, when I was invited, I was like, I'm gonna be in the Nuyorican in my room. Like, that is just like mind-blowing at the determination of humans to connect, right? Because that's all we're really doing. We're doing to hear some words, to hear some poetry, to hear some things that I wrote, to share. But in reality, what we're really doing at the core is connecting. And so I just think it's powerful, and I'm grateful for the space that Nuyorican has been, because as was said earlier, you know, I work with college students and I tell them we're more than a building. A college is a community, right? And so Nuyorican is more than a building that's been there for a long time, but it's what a few individuals put together from their heart and soul so that others can share their heart and soul. So thank you all for showing up, logging in wherever you are right now. I'm gonna share a few short pieces and then I'll share a fairly longer one. It's interesting because some of these pieces I haven't done in a number of years. And there's also another dynamic that seems to have been coming. I was interviewed for a podcast fairly recently, and I had an experience that I had not had before. I totally lost where I was in my poem. And by that, I mean, I lost the connection. I started speaking and then I just stopped. And for days it irked me, not the whole like, oh, I'm embarrassed, but more so like, what happened? What occurred? And what occurred for me, and I've been talking with other poets at the college that I work, I book poets. And what occurred for me and what I've heard from other poets is that human connection is very different. There's a different experience from being in a room and being like, ooh, I felt what this person just said, or speaking and feeling the reaction of the person in front of you. and looking into a camera as I am right here, right? There's a distinct experience. So I will do my best to be of service. I hope these words somehow guide you on your journey, whatever that may be. This one piece I just want to share. These are just words that came to me. I was in the parking lot a few minutes ago, no lie, maybe like 20 minutes ago. And I was thinking my wife is with child. And in February, this child will be showing up, right? Just magically showing up to the planet. And I was like, how will I explain 2020 one day, right? Because we have textbooks that tell us the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. This is 2020. Like there will be an entire chapter just on 2020. And I started to think about all the things that I could put in there. And I was like, what came to mind was like, no, it's simpler than that. And these are just really a few paragraphs that I put together. Before you got here, the world got stranger. Well, it's always been strange, but we all suddenly saw just how strange it really is. Our leaders demasked themselves. The people that protect us showed that they let their pain guide their decisions. The earth cried, and the fragility of human systems became evident. The world got a collective lesson on control and how little of it we really have. See, some seers have always known this. Most have grown to ignore it, and those in power have led us to avoid thinking about it with distractions. Know this, and know this always. There are a few things, if any, that are important. Love, kindness, mindfulness, gratitude. These are important. When you see a bird flying, hear the rain touch the ground, feel the breeze on your skin, taste chocolate, smell a flower. These are important. Let them be a part of your journey. Don't let them become the journey. Be love, be kind, be mindful, be grateful. This is living. This is what 2020 taught some of us. This is all you need to know. Thank you for that. I was just thinking, like, how am I going to explain this? I feel like I need a whole book. And then 2020. That's what I'll call it. And then 2020. This is a short one. This is actually a poem that I wrote years ago. And then as time passed, I realized it was more of a mantra. And then it became one of those, there's this movie, I don't recall the name of it. Somebody, if you remember, it's an amazing movie. Keenan Ivory Wayans is the star of the movie. And he has a drummer walking behind him. And then at the end, he realizes, I don't want a drummer walking behind me. I want a DJ walking behind me. And it was sort of like narrating the story of his life, right? And so the idea was that this drummer is following this person, helping create that rhythm, that vibe. We all need that. We all have that inner voice inside of us if we connect to it. That's what this poem is for me. Very short, but gets me through those difficult conversations, situations in life to help me keep moving forward. Rock against the mountains like magma, and subdue yourself only in times of meditation. Fly against this world's rotation so that time and gravity can set you free. So whenever I get into like a weird state in my life, I repeat that, and I've been repeating that a lot lately. Again, as I think there's a child coming into the world, 2021. What will that look like? This next piece is one of those little bit longer ones. I'll do my best to be of service with these words. Noise rings in the ears of the fallen. Brothers and sisters left education on the side while they're balling. Unfortunate be those that have let go of innate abilities, abandoned minds that fear God-given responsibilities. Who be them that run from who they are and could be? Fear is illusionary and built by those that hold the power to prevent unique multiplicity. Don't just listen to me, feel me. Our blood is one, for we are raceless. Humanity is from one land, and its hatred is baseless. Those fueled by hate remain nameless, as darkness has found you and made you unwelcome on my playlist. Because I'm no longer able to my headphones blast these lies. Each track, each misguided verse, each wasted potential, and another brain cell dies. How'd you travel so far from your wounds and decide that your bloodline is irrelevant? Your confused self-cathartic needs are clearly evident. Live not for which is green, and we begin living for which is your being. None of those dollar billiards will seem familiar when you've lost your familia. To hold on to all of this, be selfish. Breathe for them and I live selfless. Why withhold freedom's key and prevent young trees from becoming bee? I've seen all that is, can, and shall within me. Follow wherever you're taken. Your existence on this chaotic journey of life is not mistaken. I've seen you and me on those street stages and classrooms shaken. Yet I stand here before you molded in clay without aching. I'm not saying be me. I'm saying do you and find out who you be. Walk on that path as freely as you would swim in the sea. Ask all the questions possible. Knowledge of your past, present, and future will make you unstoppable. Focus on what makes you stronger. Later comes that which is profitable. Believe in you and allow your light to shine. Build your own path and stop following someone else's line. Use others' hate and see the flicker in their eyes as they watch you rise past the heavens and the sky. Spread your arms and fly. Be lifted by your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Raise above all those that fear where you could become. Fly higher than the clouds and be cleansed by the sun. Be that shine that is in you as in me. Just open your eyes, my brothers and sisters. Just open your eyes and see. Just be. Just be. Just be. See, it doesn't matter who you be. Just be who you be. Be different. Diferente, mi gente. Don't let someone else decide which road you take. Living someone else's life could be your worst mistake. Walk as you walk, talk as you walk, talk as you talk. Wear what you wear, who cares? Just be you. Be different. Step out of the box. You're more than a box. What box? I have no idea, but somehow we get stuck in a box, we get pushed in a box, we stay in the box, and we need to come out of the box and be true to who you be. And just see. Please just see who you be. Thank you. So that was fun for me because that was 2 poems put together. I don't know how that happened, but I just went with it. That was one poem that I have called If Gravity Could Fly. And then the final verse to a hip hop track that my group and I put together. I'll share it in a few moments in the chat. The last piece I'll do again is a short verse. I remember being in my 20s and watching a documentary called Zeitgeist. I don't know if anybody remembers that wild documentary, right? But what came to me during this time was not so much like, whoa, this is crazy. It was more so, whoa, there's so much that I don't know. There's so much that I don't know. And as I studied psychology, I realized there's so much humans don't know. And we like to believe we know. And so if there's anything that you get from any of the words that I've shared thus far, be it the short piece that I wrote 20 minutes ago, be it the Rocking Against the Mountains mantra, be it the If Gravity Could Fly poem, be it If It Doesn't Matter Who You Be poem that I did connected to the Gravity Could Fly poem, it's that you use this time on this planet tapping into you. And you is so much more than we're allowed to believe for multiple reasons and for many, many generations. I had a conversation recently with somebody and said, somebody said, I can't believe how things have gotten. And I said, Empire has always done some crazy stuff. But humans, individual humans do some amazing, amazing work. And that only happens when we truly look at who we are. Listen to my rhymes, it's a zeitgeist. These are the essence of our time, so I rhyme nice. Video games, no names on the same plane, going nowhere, no one cares. No one dares to break the snare. They spit the same beat, bang your feet, eat your meat, forget it, all good, not your hood, build your brain, fight the pain, don't block that rain, use that water, feed the sons and the daughters, squeeze up, clear the past until they see, be the change you want to be, just be, again, just be, just be. Thank you, everybody, for having me. I hope these words did something for you. Saying them did something for me too. This, I've been looking at healing. I just put in the chat the video that I was telling you about. I've been looking at healing and what that means for me in my 30s in 2020, because I decided when this little girl shows up in February, I don't want to be a grumpy person. I don't want to be angry at the world. I want to see the magic of the world, because I need to show her the magic of the world. And so taking this time to just share a few words with you has been very much a gift for me. And I appreciate you all for listening and for having me here. I'm going to put something else in the chat. It's a TEDx that I did that was mentioned earlier. I talked a little bit more about my story, and I hope again that it's of service to you on your journey. I'm going to stick around here a little bit longer, and if anybody wants to chat or something, I'm here. Thank you for having me, folks.
Thanks so much, Juan-Carlos. That was so amazing. Congratulations, right? And you certainly, you have the magic in your soul. That's obvious. Love the herring in back of you on the wall. That's beautiful. Does anyone have a question for Juan-Carlos?
Actually, I just real quick, I wanted to ask, I noticed in your poem that there were kind of like some binary oppositions. And like on one hand, there was like the stress of the world, the systems were falling apart. I think this was one of the first poem when you were talking about 2020, how you were going to explain 2020 and how the protectors were unmasked. And then on the later in the poem, you had like natural imagery, right? As kind of like a place of escape and of salvation. And I heard natural imagery also picking up in fragments in the other poems that followed. So I was just curious. So just two quick questions. Like one, what is your relationship to nature? And what is nature's relationship to your poetry?
Thank you for that question. So in graduate school, I studied what's called transpersonal eco-psychology. Transpersonal meaning transcend the personal. So there's parapsychology, right? Parapsychologists trying to prove the spirit exists. Transpersonal psychologists, we don't care if it exists. We care about the relationship to what we believe as spirit to be has on us humans. And we look at nature in the eco-psychology piece as a way to connect humans. And ever since I was a little boy growing up in the projects, I remember looking around, I kid you not, I'm having these vivid memories right now with your question, and thinking, this isn't how we're meant to live. Like 5 years old, I remember being on the playground with my friends in the projects, Queens projects, anybody from Queens, shout out, much love. And thinking, this isn't how one is intended to live. And my friends were like, let's play. And I'm like, no, but like, look, wait, And then I moved to Puerto Rico, and nature became a place of solace. Nature became a place for me to reconnect and remember. I went through a bit of a tumultuous transition during that period as well. And then for years, I wanted to understand how it is that, in one of my poems, I talked about how, we've become disconnected. And I mean that in many different ways, how we've gone so far from the source. Saul Williams has a powerful piece talking about how the MCs have gone far from the source. And for me, that's very similar to the connection with nature. Like we've gone so far from the source that if we were to just take a pause and reconnect, we would see a difference. When I teach mindfulness workshops, I tell people I've never met anybody angry because they were in nature. I've never seen anybody like, oh, this babbling brook, or oh, that bird is so ugly. Like I've never seen that, right? What I have seen is like, listen, And so even if it's just looking up at the sky, looking at a tree, I always try to find that place of solace and respite. And so when I was in the car thinking like, how can I explain this? Smelling the flower is very important. And, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a guy. I taught yoga for a number of years, and people tell me, you're my guru. I'm like, no, I'm not taking that on. Don't put that on me. I'm a person. But I remember being in Cali and stressing over something with a friend of mine. And the person said, just stop and smell the flower in front of you. And I was like, ha. And she was like, no, seriously, stop and smell the flower in front of you. And I didn't even notice that there was this like branch hanging over with these beautiful flowers. And I smelled it, and it was the most powerful flower I've ever smelled before. And I remember standing there for what felt like hours and just thinking, what else am I missing out there? So yes, it's a big piece of what I write, both for myself, and it's a big piece of what I try to do to find solace and peace. And it's something that I even teach and share with other students of mine, be it mindfulness, be it psychology courses, to remind them that we humans are not designed to be in these buildings. And right now we're in a period of disconnection, but there are ways for us to connect, like connecting, nodding, creating New Eurekan via Zoom, but also looking at the tree outside, looking up at the sky. So yes, it's a very important aspect of my life, something that I've felt since early childhood and something I've studied formally. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Juan-Carlos. I have to say that, I mean, nature, there's a bird that circles around the place where I live, and it has the most irritating, like, and it like dive bombs my cats. And if I had a BB gun, I would shoot this bird. So there are some things in nature that, but your point is absolutely well taken. I've never heard anyone say like, oh my God, that babbling brook, stop it.
There's always that one bird though. There's always that, that one animal. Name of my group's album, the most recent one was Be Different. It's actually, if you click on the video, you'll see the single from that album. And by most recent, I mean, like, this was a long time ago. And somebody wrote, what inspires you to come up with amazing poems? What advice would you give to a beginner? I myself do not have the talent to come up with poems. So let's start from that last question. If you want to create poetry, then that is something you can do. If you want to create graffiti, then that's something you can do. If you want to paint, draw, if you want to dance, that's something you can do. What I would encourage you to not do is to prevent the boundary from coming from you. And by that, I mean, there's so many boundaries in this world for you already. There's so many things that are going to tell you what you're not able to accomplish. There's so many people, there's so many pieces in the media that will make us feel we are not worthy. We need to be our biggest leaders and remind ourselves that, yes, I am. So if you want to create a poem, look at that place that's saying, I'm not talented to come up with a poem. Because if I had done that, which I did when I was 18, I wouldn't have traveled the world for 15 years. And I remember, this is a true story. After the first album, my group released 3 albums. I'm not in the group anymore. We're still cool with each other. We just decided to move forward. I didn't want to be on the road 360 days a year. Some of my group members did. I wanted to get married and have a family. Here I am. But we were on the road. We had released our second album. We're traveling throughout the country. We're being put up in hotels. We're performing at colleges. We did one show with members of Rage Against the Machine on the stage, 2,500 people in the audience at Chicago House of Blues. And then I remember being in the van one day as we were touring, and I thought, I'm not good enough to be doing this. And in that exact moment, I paused and I'm like, but I'm doing it. So where does that thought come from? Like, I vividly remember this was our 4th tour van. I vividly remember being there thinking, so I'm doing this. I have been doing this for a few years. I've gotten encouragement from leaders. I've been able to sell CDs that people actually want to buy, right? Because back then you bought a CD. And yet I'm the only one saying this. Where does that come from? And when I look back, it was from the kid that teased me at 5 years old. It was from, a family member that made fun of me in Puerto Rico when I said I wanted to be a poet one day. It was from my mother saying you need to get a job at ShopRite in order to be successful. It was from all these different places that weren't mine. And so the first thing I would say is look at where that voice comes from that says you don't have the talent. And number 2, the best thing that I think any writer can do is to write, is to write and accept. When I wrote what I wrote in the car, I'm like, I kid you not, still doing this. This is garbage. I'm going to embarrass myself. And yet there was a question about that piece. It meant something to somebody. So you never know the power you have. That's something that really stuck with me. When I saw people writing me emails about how something impacted them, when I had somebody stare at me throughout a performance and I thought this was a horrible performance, and then the person grabbed me and said, thank you, I needed those words today. When I had emails telling me about what people wanted to do to themselves and they decided to not do themselves because of a line from my poem, I realized that this voice isn't mine. It's a part of me, and that's okay. We can greet it and be like, thank you for coming by, but you're not really helpful right now. Kind of like, you know, a friend that's been around for a little bit too long. Like, you were cool when we were 12, but now I'm an adult. I can't really hang out with you anymore. So start with that. Start from where that voice came from that wrote that sentence of I don't have the talent, and then just write. Put a pencil to paper. That's one thing I will say. Do not rely on your phone. Do not rely on your computer. I know that these pieces of technology are amazing tools. I'm not knocking them, but there is something tangible for humans to have a pencil and a paper, even a pen and a paper. There's a connection, and I could teach it in a psychology class, but it's pretty much your neurons connecting. Your brain is designed to have multiple pieces of information received. And so by having a pen, feeling the pen, hearing the pen, it does something to you. So what inspires me is truth. What inspires me is what I feel true. Some people have told me, you know, what inspires me is pain. I have a friend that said she wrote a lot of poems out of pain. For me, it's truth. It's what feels right for me. What was truthful was I'm scared. I'm going to be a father, right? Normal fathers are scared and nervous, right? It's a normal human experience. I'm not going to push that away. It's a part of me. But I'm also scared that it's going to be in 2021. Like, how am I going to explain these things? What is my daughter going to be treated like? You know, what am I going to have to do to protect her? You know, and so I just decided, rather than being freaking out in the car while my wife is in there doing groceries, how about I just write something, and I just put it down. I'm no longer living in Puerto Rico. I lived in Puerto Rico for a number of years, I'd say between 9 to 15, 16, which was very impactful for me. Again, the nature piece came into that, and realizing that some of the safest places I've ever felt was in nature with my cousins and just running around barefoot. But now I live in New York. I live in what's called the Hudson Valley, about an hour and a half from the city. Thanks for asking.
Anyone else have a question? One more question for Juan-Carlos? I have just one more question. One of the poems you did, you said it evolved into a mantra. And I'm wondering, like, do your poems often evolve into different forms? Do they change from, I mean, because it is spoken word. I know sometimes we write a poem, we perform a poem a few times, and we go back to the written version and say, what happened, you know, it's evolved.
So thank you for that. So one of the truths that I believe is that there are some that believe we humans are here to destroy, right? And then I believe that we're here to create. If you watch The Matrix, that's one of the battles that Neo is going through. You know, one of the folks in that, Agent Smith tells them, you know, you humans are a parasite here to destroy. And Neo is kind of like, no, we're here to do good. And so I'm of the belief that we're here to create. And so taking the time to create is something that's very important to me. And with that said, creation is out of my hands. I firmly believe that. Sometimes I write something, I'm like, where did that come from? I remember my wife, she was at the time my girlfriend, would be at performances, and I'd come up to her afterwards and she'd hug me and I'd say, how was it? And she was like, that was great. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. And she'd like, what do you mean? I'm like, I wasn't there. And she's like, is that a good thing? You know, she got used to it, but I'd be like, yeah, when I'm not there, it's when better things happen. When I'm there is when I'm in my head thinking it's got to look like this, it's got to sound like this, it's got to feel like this, it's got to act. It becomes all this other stuff. And so for me, it's tapping into the creativity and allowing it to be whatever it needs to be. I did 2 poems together today. I added a B and a C. I didn't anticipate doing that. It just happened. If you listen to the album, that's not how the poem goes, but it evolved. And If Gravity Could Fly is 3 poems that I put together. I remember being on one tour of my group, and I wrote the first half, and I remember being in a difficult situation, and I said the line out loud that Billy Joel says, "We didn't start the fire," and I was like, "We didn't start the fire, but it's up to us to put it out." And from that, something else flowed, and then another day, the third poem came together, and then I looked at it again on the road, and I was like, "This is something," and I just put them together. So I think creation needs to have this sense of evolution, because when it's not real, it's not true. It's again that what some call itty bitty shitty committee, which is this little voices in our head saying you're not good enough, you're not, it has to look this way, it has to look that way. And I know there's an open mic starting in a moment. Again, I'm just really, really grateful to be here. I'm really grateful to have been a part of this. I was so grateful that I was invited. Christine, thank you for having me, and to all the folks that asked questions. Again, I hope that somehow my journey has been of service to you. I would like to close by just saying, life is crazy. It always has been, it's going to be. And yet there's deep down something in you. There's something powerful in you. I had a student tell me the other day, because I said to a group of students, like, "I love you all." And he was like, "Why did you say that? You don't even know us." I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I like you, right? I don't know that. But I do know that I love you, because you're another human being that's challenging yourself. And each one of you on this call, you're challenging yourself. You're putting yourself out there. You're trying to be something and see something and create and hear something." And so I encourage you to dive into that reality of creation and just let it flow. Tell the voices, "Thank you so much for being here. You were helpful, but I don't need you right now." And let what needs to be said, because the world needed that then, and needs that now, and it's going to need that tomorrow. Poets make life worth living. The artists make life worth living. We need the engineers to create the amazing things, but we are the ones that make life worth living. And so I thank you all for making life worth living for me, for showing up in this realm, and listening and sharing and being open. Thank you again, everybody. Peace.
Thanks so much, Juan-Carlos, for your generosity in showing up today and giving us some of your poetry and some of yourself. And I hope you'll come back and visit us again. Thanks. Okay, we'll start the open mic. We have a few amazing poets lined up. Our first poet is Ramon Jimenez. Now I'll just say that we have like a time limit, because we do have a list here, time limit of maybe 3 to 4 minutes. So if you could keep it within that, that would be great. So Ramon, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? My name is Ramon Jimenez. I'm out here from, I'm originally from LA, but I live in Seattle. So thank you guys for having me in your space. I'm going to share 2 poems. So here we go. All right, this first poem is titled Memories Not My Own. I'm consumed by memories not my own. Memories that replay and rewind at random moments, horrors and sorrows passed down by all those people responsible for bringing me into existence. And at the same time, I should not exist. I am made up of one side that is swagger, wealth, and theft in the form of men with big, round sombreros galloping around in their prized horses across vast plots of land, while their wives sit back in well-furnished homes with courtyards and decor, bossing around the poor housemaids who were made to cook and clean for them at all hours. My other side is of servitude and subjugation, seen through the toiling peasants forced into the hot Mexican afternoon sun, made to labor on land not their own, working with every limb in their body, and yet still not receiving enough to eat. Maybe this explains why I do not feel like myself, why I'm haunted by traumas from another time, why I hold grudges against people who harmed me in a different world, because it seems like the scars and wounds remain fresh until the one I occupy today. Okay, I have one more for you. Kind of keeping this topic of kind of colonialism and stuff. It always, for me, this is kind of what always comes to mind during the Thanksgiving and stuff. It's so hard for me to celebrate, and we're going to celebrate. And now that we can't really celebrate, it's like, wow, now it's time to really just kind of dive into it and break it apart. And that's just kind of just how I see it. So I like to write poems about travel. I got a chance to go to Lisbon a while back ago. had the best of my life. But the streets of Lisbon tell so many different stories and also mask various stories. So I wrote a poem about that. I call it Overflowing Glasses of Wine. Savoring golden fritters of salted fish on an overflowing glass of wine inside of a bright aqua blue building that was carefully designed with azulejo, like a hunting hound sniffing around for the smoke of a spliff, a cocktail of hash and tobacco that raises bodies up to the outer edges of Lisbon. Only coming down for shots of cherry liquor, cold beer on a tight cobblestone alleyway, and vaguely remember conversations with locals. All around the city, the streets tell stories. The beautiful white marble statues dedicated to kings and navigators boasting of conquest and body snatching across continents. The carefully painted murals on the back of buildings showing the fast fall of a mighty empire, the unarmed protesters charging at the sharp bayonets of soldiers, the colonized armed with AK-47s, taking back their dignity and diligence. We spent the last days speaking our broken Portuguese, befriending Angolans, Brazilians, swapping stories, cracking jokes, sharing wine, smokes, laughing at the colonialism that surrounds us like the rotting stench of sun-kissed fish guts. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ramon, everyone. Ramon from Seattle, silent cheering. Thanks so much, Ramon. I hope you'll join us again. That was fabulous. Thank you. Yeah, we have an international crowd as usual. Up next, we have in the open mic, I've been told, is Mary Fleming from Ireland. She's coming to us, I think, from Dublin. Are you from Dublin, Mary? And from Dublin, Ireland. Please welcome Mary Fleming. Mary, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, right. And now for something completely different. By the way, I know I'm a bit late for happy Thanksgiving, but just to say happy Thanksgiving to you all. Now, this is about my struggle with technology, which is ongoing. They said, why not get a computer? It really would be a great help. You'd have all your writing and stuff saved on clouds instead of great piles on the shelf. You could go on the internet, email your friends, start up friendships with strangers in chat rooms. The list of its uses just never ends. Fame and fortune ahead for you looms. So I went and I got a computer. Now it's taking up half of my room. And they all say, I'll teach you to use it. But very soon they change their tune. They push buttons and keys just like lightning. Then they say, you have a go. But I'm looking at them in amazement. My fingers are moving too slow. Pretty soon they are asking politely, mind if I do some work of my own? You just practice your typing, you'll soon get the hang. Your skills you will soon have to hone. So I try out some games like solitaire to help my slow fingers get quicker. Then after some time, I look at the clock. 2 hours have gone in a flicker. I won't let it best me. I will persevere. No one can call me a quitter. I keep pushing buttons till I get it right, no matter how much they all titter. One day you will all read my novel, typed on my computer with ease. And knowing how hard the work I had to do, buy a copy or two, would you please?
Thanks so much, Mary. That's fantastic. Thank you. I hope you'll join us again.
hopefully.
Mary from Dublin, Ireland. Next up, we have Trisha, aka Finn. Please feel free to correct my pronunciation of your name. So Trisha Finn, could you please unmute yourself? And then on deck is Dana.
Good afternoon, evening from the Bay Area. My name is Trisha, aka Finn. I'm going to share something with you which has become something of a new favorite poem of mine, because it connects me to my heritage, which is Filipino, and reminds me of my beloved mom who passed away earlier this year. It's called The Taste of Rice in a Different Language. First, we stumble into this unfamiliar room, attempting at contrapuntal poetry. These fingers are candles, fine tapers, I am told, when tongues are fat with flattery. They flick worriedly at the flies hovering to catch a sip of humidity on my neck, flushed. They tap on the pandan mat in front of them as if skin touching leaves is reassurance. These fingers can pick gingerly at the bungang araw, bougainvillea on my shoulder, flushed. Their grace cannot pick up grains of rice to blend into the locale and to avoid ridicule. These elegant hands find only enemies, swaying among the sugar cane. Now, we make it homogeneous because we, the people of these United States, is that still right? We always existed in the margins. These fingers are candles, fine tapers, I am told, when tongues are fat with flattery. These fingers can pick gingerly at bungang araw, bougainvillea on my shoulder. They flick worriedly at flies, hovering to catch a sip of humidity on my neck, flushed. Their grace cannot pick up grains of rice to blend into the locale and avoid ridicule. They tap on the pandan mat in front of them as if skin touching leaves is reassurance. These elegant hands find only enemies, swaying among the sugarcane. Now, shall we put flesh upon these bones in these lean, lean times? Our family, newborn, took a trip to the river Damiana, the same river several years back, where my parents met and courtship became the next step. My aunts to wash the communal laundry, caustic soap and palo-palo in tow. My cousins and siblings to wade and play a shy hide and seek among the large rocks. Every soul emitted the strong black morning coffee and sparse breakfast to bring their appetites to the water's edge, as if this too could appease the tiny river gods. The older women folk woke up earlier than their normal 5 o'clock in the morning, to be sure to carefully pack a lunch, nestled like sated infants among the pandan leaves. A hearty country meal of salted fish, munggo with malunggay, and of course, the bounty of rice. Our parents watched us carefully, even as they struck up earnest, hungry conversation with relatives they had been starved of for so long, living away in a foreign country where bread was rice, and there was the vulgar excess of red meat available upon the table. The sun made its sedate trip across the impossible cloudless blue, and all of a sudden, it squatted upon our heads, a signal for our elders to beckon our brown raisin bodies out of the rush of water and onto the muddy banks. My chahin, being the maiden aunt head of our clan, was allowed the order of how to unzip the fragrant leaf packages and undress the waiting delicacies. While she did this with a meditative quality, she informed us in careful English that we would eat with our hands, as tradition dictated that a Filipino picnic be eaten by hand. Kamayin mo was not barely born of necessity, it was unspoken etiquette, the way our stomachs and hands could honor the earth's issue. I was given a green square, rice, fish, tin with vegetable-laden stew, and instructed sternly to find a smooth, flat rock to alight on. I laid the leaf level on my lap and did not look up to see if anyone else had started eating. So great was my craving to fill my belly. I only raised my beginning to be sleepy eyes from my leaf plate to the sound of raucous laughter, voices mature and wayfish mingling. Hindi yatang mukhang marunong si Trisha gamitin ang kanyang kamay. It does not look like Trisha knows how to properly eat with her hands. For you see, when you are Filipino, your palms must face up. 4 fingers form a de facto scoop, while your thumbs encourage each morsel like little prisoners into your mouth. In first grade in Vallejo, my mom packed me a lunch with rice, and I was immediately seen as other. On that river, I was pleasingly tan as the newly husked coconut, but only my skin screamed and pointed to the Filipino girl, Pinay! All the while, my fingers, those American traitors, mga traidor na Americano, gave me away. Thank you.
It's very powerful how you use such specific details about something as everyday as food and layer it with the symbolism of power dynamics. So I thought that was really good. The next on deck is Dana. I'm sorry, the next one is Dana and then Manuel. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Manuel on deck. All right, so the next one is Dana. Dana, go ahead. It's all yours.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a new mic for me. All right. I have
Yeah.
2 very short poems.
Nice background, by the way.
Thank you. This is from, so my friend has a house built on the side of a mountain in Sitges. And so this is the view from it.
Oh, wow. Looks very nice.
Yeah, I miss it. Alrighty. Here's the first one. It's called Hate. Hate is in us all, whether we know it or not, whether we accept it or ignore, whether we fight or flight. It is the homophobic glare while supposedly in the square park of protest and change. It is the patrol of police who supposedly protect but realistically intimidate. It is the lack of attention and denial of humanity. It is the support of the proletariat and the use of slavery. It is the crime of walking while black. It is the need to be normal and assimilate into a system of calculated oppression. It is the right to live, but the wrong to be of color. Love is the everlasting change to forgive, or everlasting challenge to forgive. And then my second one. Back when I was your age, our biggest enemy was as dangerous as an atomic bomb and as abstract as an idea. So they sent all the kids to fight someone else's battle in a humid jungle and die for national shame. Back when I was your age, we snipped flowers from the grass and put them into the guns of the system and in our hair of rebellion. Today we go into sea of sand, overflowing with oil, and terrorize the people who swim there. The oil who chooses to hide deep under the surface to avoid the wars we fight over it. That's it.
Wow, thanks so much, Dana. I love all the power and energy that comes from this into this open mic.
Yeah, I think the political imagery, I think what I appreciate about what you did is that you took political imagery that was, if read in the context of political writing, you could, it doesn't have that same poetic punch. But what you did is like you took like tweezers and you kind of pulled it out and then you put it in a poem. And so now I could actually hear those words again, but they have like a new electricity to them. They have a new power to them. So I thought that was really good what you did. All right, let's get to Manil. I hope I'm saying your name right, but feel free. The mic is now yours.
Okay, thank you. I wake up, things are blank. I show up, things don't crank. I feel lost, that's okay. I wish I could toss these feelings away. You made me think, am I wrong? I made you think about that song. I'm so sorry, now you're gone. I've lost all hope and all is wrong. Thank you. That's all I could think of at the moment.
You know what? I think I felt like that last week. I also just appreciate the rhyme scheme. So good job on the rhyme scheme, I knew.
Thank you.
Okay. Now let's go up to the next is Janning, who is the poet laureate of South Euclid in Ohio. So Janning, I'm happy you're here. The mic is yours.
Thank you. It's Doc Janning. And I live in South Euclid as the ancient Greek mathematician.
What did you say? South Euclid?
Yes, I did.
I never heard of it.
It's an eastern suburb of Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow. Okay.
I've got two short ones. The first one is based on a Welsh word I came across by accident on Facebook. The word is spelled CWTCH. It's pronounced Cwtch. Think the name Butch. There is a fire in the storm of me, a fire and a song which seeks. It seeks for your fire, for the song in your storm, that as one flame we may burn brighter, to warm and calm our storms, to become more than hugs, more than cuddles, as our songs meld in a chorus of Cwtch, a place of safety, a place of peace, a place to grow together. Thank you. Moon shadows. In hidden depths of misty moon shadows, words wait. They wait to be written by me, by you, by us, in pans of peace, of hope, of joy and love. When our thoughts prompt, they sail to us on bright mangata made of moonlight. Thank you. And that poem contained the Swedish word mangata, which refers to the road-like reflection of the moon across a body of water.
You know, like a little bit like our kind of like our star poet, Juan Carlos. I appreciate the use of natural imagery, to convey heightened senses of emotions and reality. So I think that was really powerful. And by the way, you had a guest star in your poem. Your cat was perched behind you, and your cat was enjoying your poetry too. Your cat was licking its, it was just doing the whole cat thing. So you have a fan back there. Make sure you give him a little soft extra stroke tonight.
Okay. She enjoys listening to poetry, and she threatens some night to recite some of her own poetry.
Oh,
I see what you did there. Poetry.
Yeah. We're here all week, folks. We're here all week. Okay, so we got two more poets. Shirley, you're coming up next, and then on deck is Valentina. So we're looking forward to hearing both of you. Shirley, go for it.
Excuse me. I was wondering if it was too late for me to, have a thing, like be part of the open mic, because I just finished making my little short poem.
Okay. Christine, what do you think?
Sure. We'll end with Andre.
And with Andre. Okay. Shirley, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Hi, I'm Shirley, and I'm in Professor Timm's class. And I just made a little poem just now. I wanted to participate, so I don't know. So it's basically based on stress level and what goes around my head. So this is how it goes. Stress number 1, I smile and put it behind on my memory file. Stress number 2, oh Lord, I need a break before I go eat a cake. Stress number 3, anxieties are kicking and now I'm trapped with my evil twin. Stress number 4, I can't focus and all I can do is scream. And then I hear the neighbors say, we need a shaving cream. Stress number 5, now I'm in a corner with my knees bent, heart bumping, sweating, and my mind's playing tricks, and that I'm a failure. I'm heavy breathing, and I stop and think, why am I in this position when I can just get up and say I can do it? That's it.
That was so good. Shirley, thank you so much. I mean, and especially at times like this when we're all kind of a little bit isolated, it's always really good to hear a poem that picks you up, that makes you feel uplifted. So I want to say I'm really grateful to that. Also, just the repetition of, the repetition in the beginning of each sentence was key. So good job.
Thank you.
Valentina, the mic is all yours, and then Andres, you're on deck.
Hey y'all. I'm so honored to be here. Shirley, that was lovely. And yeah, thanks for welcoming me into the New Rican room tonight. All right, I'm gonna start off with a short piece. Mother names her daughter Valiente, knowing her first breath will be assumed bastard, knowing the magic growing within her. Still, Mother teaches me how to take my breath, blossom into our brownness en contra de la norma. Mother teaches, mother works, supports, teaches she, an idol for dedication, responsibility and perseverance for survival con sabor. She suffered, she has suffered and she continues to suffer for her seeds to see brighter suns. Charged by warm rays, she has been named nanny, named cleaner, named domestic worker. Mami, I call you hard worker. Mami, I call you madre mia, madre forgiving, madre forever thinking the hustle, breathing, bracing, cleaning products, Clorox, all these chemicals, all this dust, bleaching our skin, burned white. The bleach has killed las amigas. Madre mia, I call you the earth. Mujer de la tierra, nurturing us into survival. Your work allows me to breathe here. Don't you see? The trees give us breath here. You are the seed allowing us to blossom. You are the wind and the breath in my lungs. Ma, I thank you. Tú de la tierra. From your strength I stem. Aquí. Todas somos las mujeres de la tierra. And yeah, I think that's all I'll share tonight. Thanks for listening.
That's great. What I appreciate about that is how you approach politics, but you do it through a persona it's a very kind of like it's a poem in which there's a persona, an individual who then is talking about a political situation. So then what happens is you actually get the consequences of power on the body, the chemicals, all the really kind of intricate details of work. So I just said, that was good, because sometimes you need to hear about politics, but in very personal, intimate language for it to connect. So that's good. All right, cleanup hitter. Andre, you got it.
Okay. All right. Mine is kind of short, but I incorporated a lot of rhyme into it. I put a lot of rhyme into it. Where is it? I have a lot of stuff open on my computer. Okay, never mind, I found it. Okay. Space. Can't think, can't talk. Your mind free to walk. Head first, bed thirst. Space, rather empty. No distractions. No thoughts, no noise. Space, a place to drift away until the massive alarm comes. That's all I got.
That's good.
I thought it would just add a little something at the end to like kind of interrupt, that thing, because it could relate, like we could all relate in a way, because like we're all just distantly, distracted, staring, like, when you find yourself staring at the ceiling sometimes, and then You're just like, and then there's that one thing that comes like, oh, I have to, something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to stare at the ceiling tonight and wonder about my life. So I'll be thinking about exactly what you just said. So anyway, I want to say congratulations, Andre. Keep working on that poem. You got a good one there. And also congratulate everyone who shared their poetry tonight. And one more round of applause for Juan-Carlos. Thank you, sir, for coming through. And also congratulations on your upcoming fatherhood. Your daughter's going to be a very, very lucky young child to have you as her father. Yeah. Good job, Dad. Good job.
Working on it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Juan Carlos. That was so amazing. Thanks to all the open mic poets. What a great, energetic event we had today. You guys are all fantastic, and I hope you'll join us again next month. Thanks to Jason, our tech person this time around. We're up again for Word next month. I don't remember what date it is exactly. Nick, do you remember the date?
No, but we better remember it quickly.
It'll be on the calendar. Yeah, right. We better remember it quickly. Please contribute if you can. Nuyorican is only staying afloat because of contributions from poets and other artists like yourself. That's www.nuyorican.org/contribute.
Oh,
thanks so much.
And just real quick, especially for those who are on the open mic, if you want to continue to be on the open mic or even be, kind of like the star poet of the next particular, time that we do this, the next event, I would love that. We've heard some really good poems coming out. And so could you, send us your email, send us your name, your information, so we can start making a schedule of people who are going to be, the kind of like the star poet of the day. And then eventually, at some point we'll even get these poems together and just start making, like a whole event of like the top tier poets, and maybe even get some of these poems out on print. We shouldn't let these poems fall between the cracks. The Nuyorican was supposed to be a place where you can showcase voices. So let's showcase your voice.
All right. Jason is saying our next date is December 23rd.
Good.
All right. Nick, do you want to put your email in the chat? I just put mine as well.
Yeah, let me do it.
If anyone wants to contact us, that'd be great. So thanks.
I'll make fun of it. It's Hotmail, so it's old school.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
All right, there it is, folks. Egophobia. Thank you, everyone.
Hope to see you next month.
What day did you say?
December 23rd.
Yep, December 23rd.
All right, I'm trying to like write it down, like, to.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
So
have a good holiday.